Welcome to Electric Vitality Unplug with your health coach, Christina Leo. Join us each week as we explore strategies with antioxidant negative ions to keep our bioelectric body strong, ensuring a vibrant and dignified life well into our golden years. This is Christina Leo, and welcome to the Electric Vitality Unplug, episode 4. I know we only are into fourth episode, but I'm so excited about all the different topics that I'm exploring and bringing it to you so that it could help you understand a little more about the benefits of our electric body, as well as beneficial negative ion antioxidants that we could bring into our health regimen. So if you give me a minute, let me just share my PowerPoint slide real quick. This is the first slide, which is just talking about what I'm going to present today, which is part of the August focus, which is on negative ion benefits. As I mentioned in last week's presentation, we talked about 4 major benefits of negative ions. So I will take the opportunity in August in each episode to explore each of the benefits. So today's is going to be about revitalizing and strengthening our cells. So general disclaimer, all the information provided is for presentation and educational purposes only. And please always consult with your own medical or healthcare provider for your own health issues. And as part of transparency, I am an authorized independent distributor of Neffel USA. Just a very quick about me. I am a marketing leader as well as an AGM with Neffel. And I have been teaching meditation to help people get mentally, physically, spiritually sound as well. I was a former CPA with an MBA, and now I'm on a path to pursue a higher level education in natural medicine so that I can continue to help more people. And one of the reasons why that got me into really wanting to learn about benefits of antioxidant and negative ion is about 15 years ago, I came across a very beneficial clothing and bedding product that provides negative ions. After using it for about 3 to 6 months, my vertigo, my backache, my dry eyes, my chronic allergy have all been alleviated. So I hope to share the information that could enable you to consider whether this is a good regimen to incorporate into your health modalities. So for the August focus, today is going to be revitalizing and strengthening cells, and I will talk about the other the other 3 major benefits in the next few weeks. And just to provide transparency as well, the source of mainly my presentation is coming from this original book of a Chinese book called We're Anions. And there is a corresponding English book that translated the major content of that book. So the information was put together by somebody who is, I think, the president or secretary of the Energetic Association in Taiwan. So the book is highly valued and provides a lot of information that is not really readily available in the English-speaking world because anions or negative ions is still not as well known. But I hope to through these series, bring you more information to help you. So the 4 major benefits are purifying the blood, regulating autonomic nervous system, enhance our body's immune system, and rejuvenating our cells. So the rejuvenating the cell is the focus today. So let's talk about parts of a cell, which is important. In my presentation, I often emphasize that for our body to be healthy, we need to make sure all 60 trillion cells of our body to make sure that they stay healthy. So any cells that are not healthy or exhibit any signs of mutation or damage, it could potentially cause the organ that it's a part of to start to have issues. So let's try to dive in a little bit to understand parts of a cell. There's a lot of scientific jargons, and our purpose here is not to become a scientist or become a biologist per se, but it's to understand the basic understanding of our body's physiology so that we can learn to appreciate what our body does and also know if part of the physiology is not functioning, we have some sort of basic concept of what could be wrong. So understanding the cell is very important, and it's really three key components that we should understand, which is the cell membrane, the nucleus, as well as the plasma. So I kind of call them, cell membrane is the wall. So the wall, so if you look at this diagram, don't worry about all the detailed scientific names. All you need to do is just really focus on these three parts. So the cell membrane is the wall, the entire barrier that creates that houses all the components of a cell, and then it's protecting the internal structure of the cells from the outside environment. And then this cell membrane, it's also very important in the sense that it actually has the ability to control what goes in and what goes out. So just think about, how we take in nutrient and how we have to remove waste. At the cellular level, that's what the cellular membrane is doing for our body. And the nucleus is the brain of the cell. So it's kind of like the genetic information is stored in the nucleus, and it regulates the cell activities and carries the gene information. So it relates the information from the cell membrane and to the third part that we call the plasma, which is the factory. I call it the factory because it's really all of the components that produce what's necessary for the body. So for example, mitochondria produces the energy, the ribosome produces the protein, the lysosome, is involved with the waste removal, and then this Golgi apparatus is involved with the transport. So those are just kind of a few, but in essence, what we could remember the parts of the cell is basically the cell membrane, it sends signals to the nucleus because it has a direct contact with its environment, and then gives order to the factories in the plasma to adapt to the changes in the environment. So it allows the cells to respond and to preserve its survival. So what could cause abnormal cells? Because that's what we really want to understand as well. We first want to keep our cells healthy. So in my prior presentation, I talked about the important components of cells, and in the Healing is Voltage presentation, where I talked about the key components that is necessary for a cell to stay healthy, and one of them that's often not emphasized is the electrical voltage, that it's important for the cells to function. So let's look at what would cause a cell to become abnormal. And I've mentioned this concept before too, is when it experiences free radical damage. Free radical tend to occur and lead to tend to occur due to lifestyle choices and environmental factor, and it could be genetic as well. But it leads to acidity in the body. So this acidity leads to the oxidation. So the oxidation on the cell membrane that I mentioned before it would cause the cell membrane to thicken, and we'll look at why that is important as well. And then I mentioned about genetic and hereditary factors. Some people are just, just have certain conditions that runs in the family. So the probability of the person getting, a certain type of condition, if it runs in the family, it's probably higher than somebody who doesn't. So that kind of predisposes the person to more chronic type of diseases. And the third one is actually infection by bacteria and virus. Oftentimes those we can't really control because we live in a society where we're in contact with different people and different environments. So that is those are the leading causes that could cause our cells to be abnormal. Okay. So just a quick review again is, when we look at a cell, the cell is made up of atoms. So the atoms, when it loses, let's say a certain number of electrons, and it becomes positively charged when it has more positive charge protons than electrons, then it becomes what we call a positive ion, which is also really what a free radical is. And the free radical is going to take it from another atom in order for it to stay balanced. And when you have negative ion that comes into the scene and it has extra electrons to give, it is what we call an antioxidant or negative ions. And by giving the electrons to the free radical, it allows the free radical to be balanced again and not cause destruction in the cells. So free radical damage lead to oxidative stress. An obvious example is aging process, as well as oxidation of fruits, for example, apple, when we cut it open. So getting back to how does negative ion actually revitalize and strengthen our cells, it does it in like 3 different ways. And so I will go through the first 2, and the third one relating to promoting oxygen absorption by the cells, I will cover that in next week's, which I will talk about how negative ion actually can purify or cleanse the blood, okay? Because clean blood will mean clean circulation throughout your body. Okay, so the first one is it can increase the cell membrane's permeability. And the second one is it facilitates the substance exchange across the cell membrane. So just based on these two factors, we know how important it is to keep our cell membrane as permeable as possible. So if we were to take a look at the cell membrane, again, we're not trying to be scientists here or biologists, okay? What we want to do is basically have a basic understanding. So the cell membrane, right, if you look at it, it's very interesting. I thought it's really cute because the cell membrane is made up of these, they call it phospholipid layers. It's kind of like I think it's like a protein layer, but it's like a balloon. It's shaped like a balloon, and it has like these 2 strands that's hanging. So it has 2 layers. So when we absorb nutrient and oxygen and water, it actually goes through the membrane because it's these 2 layers of balloons. It actually goes through the spaces between the balloons to go in and out of cells. So the importance of keeping this layer permeable, that's what they mean by permeable, so that things can go in and waste can go out, right? So and the importance of keeping it permeable and allowing the sufficient space for activity to happen will keep the cell really healthy. So then what happened is when there is overexposure, like outside of the cells, right? When there's overexposure of positive charges, so in other words, positive ions, what happened is, so it's kind of like if it start to have excess free radical damage, it's going to cause the membrane to to thicken. So when it thickens, it's going to reduce the space between the balloons. So if you think about it, then when it thickens and then the space becomes less, now nutrients cannot go into the cell, and then the waste cannot be removed from the cell. So what happened is it creates a over time, if this condition is not reversed, then over time, this cell is not going to be able to function. So now when you have negative ion exposure added to it, so what it's going to do is reduce the free radical damage and allows the excess positive ion to be neutralized. So then once it's neutralized, then the membrane will again become permeable, so allowing the spaces between the balloons to be wider again. And now nutrients can go in, water can go in, oxygen can go in, and then the processed waste can now go back out. So that's why it's important to remember this. But even if you don't understand the actual mechanic of this, all you need to remember is you want to keep the cell membrane permeable. So how do you keep it permeable? Is not to subject the cells to excess free radical. So how do you prevent, the excess free radical? I talked about the importance of, having antioxidant in your diet and your exposure through beneficial negative ions, such as negative ion clothing and bedding that provides the negative static electricity to go into your body to neutralize free radical damage. Okay, so that's actually really quite important. And the second thing is what we call the sodium potassium pump. Again, it looks kind of complicated, so you don't have to try to really memorize this. So just kind of think of it this way. So the back to that cell membrane, it has these kind of like almost like, if you picture, it's almost like a zipper, right? So this zipper actually it allows, when it opens, it allows the ions to travel from inside the cell to outside of the cell. So ions are actually on both outside and inside of the membrane. So the internal surface of the what we call the potassium channel actually carries negative static electricity. So what happened is when it tries to move the potassium, which is positive charge inside the cell, to move it out, it actually, because it's negative static charge through this channel, so it will attract the positive charge potassium out. So as it goes out of the channel, through the membrane, then it brings in the sodium, positive ion sodium coming back into the inside the cell. So just think of it this way: is it doesn't matter whether you understand what's being traveled between inside and outside, but then because there's material exchange that needs to happen, and this pump has to be active and functioning. So the channel that allows the positive charge ions to go out is actually negatively charged. So therefore, it helps it moving out. So in the case when you have too much free radical and you have too much positive charge, now this pump is no longer working, and it can't do the exchange. So when it can't do the exchange, and guess what? That cell is now going to have health issues, right? Because the cell can't function and have the material exchange between the inside of the cell and outside of the cell, because the kind of like what they call kind of like the different pressure between the outside and inside of the cell also enable the exchange of material inside and outside of the cell. So if this pump, it doesn't work, then you can't then the cell can't function properly. So that's the extent that I think that we need to understand about this, because I think a lot of question that we get is, how do we know that it actually does all these things, right? So there is a lot of detailed science behind um behind the the how ions can help our body, because our body actually does have a lot of ions, but the importance in keeping a good balance between the two of positive and negative charge is very important. And the importance of keeping our body mildly alkaline of 735 to 745 is very important as well, because that prevents our body from going into an acidic state. And in an acidic state, that's when you have excess free radical, excess positive ion, and it also leads to inflammation. It leads to a whole host of chronic health conditions. So it doesn't matter what modality you use to increase the antioxidant and negative ion within your body. But it's very important that you consistently keep at it, because we are constantly bombarded by free radicals. And that's the important part that I would like to make sure that we understand and take away from this. So the key thing that's important to remember is that we want to keep our cell membrane permeable. And to keep it permeable is to make sure we don't have excess free radicals, and to have abundance of negative ions to restore any free radical damage and keep our body mildly alkaline, keep the membrane, all the cell membrane of 60 trillion cells should be permeable. And when it's permeable, your body stays healthy. And you could actually, any nutrients that you supply to your body will get easily absorbed into the cells, and the cells can easily process and remove waste. That's why it's very important for us as a human being. One of the best thing we can do for our body as we age is the ability to eat well, ability to metabolize and then remove waste really well, right? And then be able to sleep well. So, and then to be able to relieve stress. If we could do all those things really well, we could keep our body really healthy. So that's the end of the presentation, and I hope that's beneficial and helpful for you to gain a little more confidence in what negative ion can actually do for our body. Okay, so I will stop share now. And I see Marisol is on as well. But Bernie, do you have question? Any thing that you don't really understand?
Well, I see what you were talking about, the antioxidants and the free radicals. That article that you had up there is a very good article because, like you said, we don't need the free radicals because that's what causes our aging. That's what causes a lot of diseases. I mean, this is just from me, I'm not a doctor or anything, just from aging, just from anything that, not harmful, but how should I put it? Like frequent headaches, frequent pain, like that. For unless we have pain because we fell or something, but if we're not putting enough, like water, like how some people drink a lot of alkaline water, you're trying to keep your body alkaline because you don't want the acid in your system. So you're trying to push that through. I can see that with the negative ion clothing also. That's probably why I wear it every single day. So I can see that what you presented, I think is very good. I like that. I need a copy of that so I could show people. Well, I'll tell them to go to the YouTube, but I can see that when what you put up on the screen, I can see that.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, I mean, we're not dispensing any kind of medical
No,
advice or anything, but our body is so intricate. I mean, it's not like you could take one or two things and then try to generalize everything. But at the same time, you could also go to the fundamentals. What does the cell needs, right? And then what does it not need? The reality is our body actually need a certain amount of free radicals. So we can say all free radicals are
totally not.
yeah,
Yeah.
because we do need a certain amount of free radicals, right? But the problem is having excess of it. and then your body can function properly because it's out of balance. So we need a balance of both. Um, but modern day living is that we are overexposed to free radicals. That's why we need to bring it into balance again. So there's different modality, like what you said, ionized water is great. Good nutrition, good supplements. And then negative ion clothing, the neuron clothing that's been around from the first generation fiber, it's like 50 some odd years. So over these span of number of years, it's helped so many people regain health and by charging their body up, right? So
Right.
that's
Right.
that's the beauty of it. And it's like just wearing the clothing, you're not doing anything that you have to try to remember. You just wear it, and then as you move about through friction, you just constantly charging your body up, so
Mhm.
that's the important part that I think we want to impart people with is there is another modality that if you choose to embark on it, it actually could very much like increase your voltage, your electrical balance. And getting back to our electrical body is again is making sure this electrical body is well taken care of, because then the physical body is really well taken care of. And we have to take
Right.
care of all 60 trillion cells with proper amount of voltage. So, and then I'll see if Marisol, do you have any questions? Okay, that's okay. Sometimes people um, can kind of unmute. So, but anyway, so we will leave it at that. Bernie, thank you so much for being my audience and giving me feedback. And
Oh,
I
Right.
hope,
I I thought I'm on mute and I'm
oh,
talking. So very informative, very informative what you have shared. So I'm
oh.
listening. Thank you for the information. Very good.
Okay, thank you so much, Marisol. Thanks for being
Yes,
here.
yes.